Let's talk about more underrated new book releases. So these are books that are coming out in September that very few people are shelving on Goodreads. The shelving data includes everyone who has it on any of their exclusive shelves on Goodreads. So your want to read, you're currently reading, your have read shelf. So all of that combined. And I'm going to be talking about the books coming out in September that have the least hype around them. I already filmed the video talking about the most hyped books coming out in September, which I will have linked up here and in the description. And I have the full list of books coming out in September on my Discord. Before I get into the 5 least hyped books of September, I will be releasing a video in September talking about my fall reading recommendations, those books that just give me fall, cozy, spooky vibes. And if you have a recommendation to read in fall, let me know in the comments what the book title is and why you recommend it, and I might feature your comment in that video. And with that, let's get into September's underrated books. The most underrated book coming out in September, I cannot believe it is this underrated. It is called Warlords of the Wyrdwood. This is the second book in the Forsaken trilogy. I don't know if it's a trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. Does it say it's a trilogy? It just says series. Okay, so the second book in the Forsaken series by R.J. Barker. I have not read any R.J. Barker books, but this series sounds really good. Now, since this is the second book, I'm not going to summarize or read the description of the second book. I will go ahead and read some of the setup description of the first book and then just a little hint of the second book. In a world locked in eternal winter and haunted by prophecy, a young boy trains for years to become the chosen one, only for another to rise and claim his place. Oh, it does say a trilogy! It says Warlords of Wyrdwood is book 2 in the new fantasy trilogy set within the bounds of a forest straight out of the darkest folklore, with outlaws fighting an evil empire and warring deities. It sounds interesting. I am pretty sure Lady Mare from Lady Mare Reads has read book 1 and said it is great, so I think we should all trust her and read this series already. The next book on my list is called In the Shadow of the Ship. This seems to be a science fiction mystery book. So this book features this sentient ship called Nightjar, and our main character left this sentient ship and her whole family when she was a teenager, and she is back for someone's funeral, and she now has to face the ship and her family as she is going through this grieving process. People are going missing on this ship. This is something that caused our protagonist to leave in the first place, but when she is back for this funeral, a friend pleads for her help right before she disappears. And our main character has to face her fears and figure out what is going on. The next least hyped book on my list is The Land of the Living and the Dead. This is the third book in the Gale Song series, and I'm really surprised this one is as underhyped as it is, because I have heard a lot about the first book in this series, The Children of God and Fighting Men, and it sounds like a series I would love. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series. It's definitely going to be more than 3. So I might put off starting this series a little bit until more of the books are out, but it sounds like a very character-driven story, and I am very intrigued. So this story mixes history and mythology in ancient Ireland, where Viking kings do not stay dead, and a widow has fire magic, but she has to hide it at all costs because she will be killed if anyone finds out. This is a book about family bonds and political turmoil in a land on the brink of war. Our next book is also a book that I thought would be more popular, and maybe the people who read these books aren't using Goodreads as much, and that's why there's not as many people shelving these books, but like honestly, I am surprised at this list. This book is A Tide of Black Steel. It is the first book in the Age of Wrath series. This series is going to be a trilogy, and our first book follows 4 characters, all who are vying and fighting with each other for the favor of the sister queens who are ruling this land and have ruled this land for centuries. It is a political battle and dance. But while they are all in battle over the favor of the sister queens, there is rumor of a Viking ship that is carrying these murderous outlaws who people thought were dead long ago. And this might upset the balance of things. And the final least hype book on my list is Touch of Death. As far as I know, this one is a standalone, so you can go ahead and read it now and have the complete story. This is about a person who has the ability, whenever she touches someone, to see the moment of their death. And she tries not to touch people because this, while it's a gift, also feels like a curse, especially when she touches one of her students' hands and sees herself at the student's moment of death, and she is stabbing the student to death. Of course, this sends her on a journey to try to change fate because she does not want this. She does not want to be a murderer, naturally. And that concludes the 5 least hyped books coming out in September. Again, if you have any recommendations for spooky or cozy fall reads, let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you in another video. Happy reading!